Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English for Newcomers. This is Class 7 on Describing Employment, presented by OneHub Growth. My name is Aryan, and I'm the Education Program Officer for OneHub Growth, and I'll be the instructor for today's class.
And my name's Essence. I'm a volunteer for OneHub Growth and a co-host for Everyday English.
So our goals for today's lesson are that participants will be able to describe their current employment status, look for new opportunities for employment, and communicate their professional skills and abilities. These are the terms we're going to be discussing today. There's a couple that you may recognize and a couple that you may not. So we'll go through each one by one. And if you're finding it easy, remember to focus on your pronunciation, tone, tense, and professionalism. So our first term is job. Job, which is any role where you are paid to do something. So unlike volunteering, where you're doing it just for fun or just for credit, for a job, you're actually getting paid to complete certain tasks. So again, job.
And to practice, we'll say, I'm very excited to work at my new job. So now you try. I'm very excited to work at my new job.
Our next term is full-time. Full-time, which is a combination of the word full and the word time. So these two terms put together make full time, which is when you work 8 hours per day for several days in a week. So say you work from Monday to Friday for 8 hours on each day, you'd be considered to be working full time. Full time.
And to practice, we'll say, my full-time job is very tiring. So now you try. My full-time job is very tiring.
Our next term is part-time. Part-time, which is a combination of the words part and time. And it means you only work for part of a day for some days during the week. So for example, if you work for 3 hours on weekends, you would be considered part-time. Part-time.
And to practice, we'll say, you work part-time for a restaurant. So now you try. You work part-time for a restaurant.
Our next term is unemployed. Unemployed, which is when you do not have a job. So if you do not have a job, you'd be considered unemployed. And make sure to emphasize the un so that people don't confuse it with the word employed, which means you do have a job. So again, the term here is unemployed.
And to practice, we'll say, I am currently unemployed and looking for a job. So now you try. I am currently unemployed and looking for a job.
Our next term is paycheck. Paycheck, which is money that you receive from a job after working a certain number of hours. So once you are paid, it is either deposited directly into your bank account or given to you in the form of physical cash or a check. So again, paycheck.
And to practice, we'll say, we spent our first paychecks on a fancy dinner. So now you try. We spent our first paychecks on a fancy dinner.
Our next term is training. Training, which is when you learn certain skills that are needed for a job. So again, if you need certain mathematical skills or public speaking, you can learn all of these different skills through training. Training.
And to practice, we'll say, our training is very important to understand. So now you try. Our training is very important to understand.
Our next term is employment insurance. Employment insurance, otherwise known as EI, which is money provided to people who do not have a job by the government. So if you suddenly become unemployed or you are let go from your job, you can apply to receive EI. EI.
And to practice, we'll say, have you been paid by employment insurance? So now you try. Have you been paid by employment insurance?
Our next term is career. Career, which is the combination of all of your jobs, experiences, and skills. So a job is different from your career because a job is just a single position that you're holding at this point in time, while your career is the combination of all of your jobs that you've had, right from your first job to your current one, and also all of the skills that you've earned, such as, again, certain mathematical skills or public speaking skills or anything else. So again, career.
And to practice, we'll say, experience is needed to do well in your career. So now you try. Experience is needed to do well in your career.
And our last term for the day is resume. Resume, which is a document that summarizes your career experiences, including, again, your past jobs, any skills that you have, and also your educational achievements. So it's really important to pronounce the word as resume instead of resume, because that means a totally different thing. So again, remember, resume. Resume.
To practice, we'll say, can you help me write my resume? So now you try. Can you help me write my resume?
So now we're moving on to our vocabulary review. So we'll go through each term one by one, starting with job, which is a role when you are paid to do something. Full-time, which is when you work 8 hours per day for several days a week. Part-time, when you work for only part of a day for 7 days a week. Unemployed, when you do not have a job. Paycheck, which is money received from a job. Training, which is when you learn skills that are needed for a job. Employment insurance, or EI, which is money provided to people who do not have a job by the government. Career, which is the combination of all of your jobs, experiences, and skills. And resume, which is a document that summarizes your career experiences. So again, job, full-time, part-time, unemployed, paycheck, training, employment insurance, career, and resume. And if you're finding this easy, you can move on to other words such as cover letter, which is a letter used to indicate your interest in a job. Skills, which are specific abilities such as, again, as I've said before, mathematical or public speaking skills that you can utilize in a job. Or an interview, which is a one-on-one meeting for an employer to see if you're the right fit for a certain job position. Let's move on to our conversational examples. Here's our first example. I got a new job for the summer.
Nice. Will you be working full-time or part-time?
I will be working full-time at the restaurant.
Good. Make sure to spend your first paycheck wisely.
I will spend it on myself and save some.
Enjoy your new job. Goodbye.
Now you try. Here's the next example. Do you offer full-time or part-time jobs?
We only offer part-time work. Our company is small.
Okay, how much training is there?
We have 1 week of training before the job starts.
Sounds good. Does it cover employment insurance?
You will have to pay a small amount for employment insurance.
Now you give it a go. Here's our third example. Hello, I am Aryan. Would you please help me write my resume?
Hello, Aryan. I can help you with that.
I am currently unemployed, but looking for a part-time job.
Sounds good. I can help show your experiences.
I am excited to start working soon.
Hopefully you can begin your career.
Now you try. Here's the fourth example. I love working at my part-time job.
I enjoy working there too, but I work full-time.
Nice. I would like to work full-time someday.
I can help look at your resume so you can get a full-time job like me.
Thank you for that. It will help me advance my career.
No problem. Good luck.
Give this example a try. Here's our last example. It's a bit harder because there's more terms, but give it a go. I recently quit my job, so now I am unemployed.
Sorry about that. Did you get your last paycheck?
I did. Now I am training for my new job.
That is great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I am glad I did not have to take employment insurance.
That is okay. Good work.
Give this last example a try. Thank you for coming to Class 7 of Everyday English for Newcomers. If you want to learn more, follow us on social media, specifically Instagram, at OneHub Growth, or you can call us between the hours of 9 to 5 at 905-946-8898, extension 3. And you can contact us at any time with any additional questions to info@onehubgrowth.org.
And our last class will be on education on Thursday, July 31st. So hope to see you there.